Hello there, welcome to our viewers in Nigeria and around the world. The state of insecurity in Nigeria, occasioned by the menace of kidnappings, mass abductions of school children, banditry, farmers-herders clashes, insurgency, killings, sectional threats and tensions have put the nation on tenterhooks for several months now. In the perception of many concerned groups and well-meaning Nigerians, the nation is moving dangerously towards the edge of an avoidable precipice. Every new day seems to come with its unique challenges and governance complications. And for quite some time, those in power at various levels of authority appear to be shirking their constitutional responsibilities of providing for the welfare and security of those that they govern. All around the country, there is general disillusionment, apprehension, palpable fear, and distrust of government's intentions, actions, and the will to do right by the people. With the injection of new hands into the security system, that is the appointment of new service chiefs, the security situation is actually in a heightened state. This is no doubt why the president summoned a meeting of the National Security Council earlier this week to tackle the myriad of security issues and the open and discrete threats to Nigeria's stability and continued existence as a united entity. Now, coming on the heels of the abduction of the Jangebe schoolgirls, the council took a strong view and stance on a number of the issues and challenges as clearly articulated by the National Security Advisor, General Babagana Mungono, after that meeting.
His Excellency the President has approved, based on our recommendation, the imposition and enforcement of a ban on all mining activities in Zamfara State with immediate effect until further notice. He has directed the Honorable Minister of Defense and the National Security Advisor to deploy massive military and intelligence assets to restore normalcy to that part of the country. He has also approved that Zamfara State be declared a no-fly zone with immediate effect. Now, all non-state actors that have been causing problems for the innocent peoples, not just in Zamfara State or the Northwest Zone, but also the Northeast and other parts of the country in the South-South, have been placed under surveillance by the intelligence agencies. We've had a lot of reports coming in, collusion with people from all walks of life. While the federal government is not averse to the application of non-kinetic means to resolve this problem, I need to make it very clear that the federal government will not hesitate to apply to the fullest its kinetic means to restore normalcy to the country. I'm sure you are all aware of the fact that no country will tolerate a group of non-state actors. No sovereign nation will allow a group of non-state actors to bring it down to its knees and render the state in a state of panic, apprehension, mistrust, disorder, and so on and so forth. Therefore, both the defense and intelligence organizations have been charged that while we look forward to having a peaceful, non-kinetic resolution, we will not allow this country to drift into state failure. And with effect from today, the new service chiefs have been given directives by the Minister of Defense, conveyed by the President to the Minister of Defense, to reclaim all areas that have been dominated by bandits, by kidnappers, and other scoundrels and scallywags. In doing so, I have also asked all the intelligence agencies to collapse all their efforts onto one platform, so that with the convergence of effort, we would be able to give the required intelligence to the operational elements of government. Now, I need to stress also that there are individuals in this country who have assumed a status that is beyond what they should be. And intelligence from our own sources, the intelligence at my disposal and the disposal of the other intelligence heads, reveals that we have certain entities, certain individuals who are making capital out of insecurity, especially kidnapping. This is a situation that has to be brought to an end, and I'm sending a warning to anybody who is hiding beneath a veneer of some status, whether official in terms of an official capacity or traditional or religious, to stoke the flames of disorder, will have himself to blame. The government is very, very serious about this. Like I said, we're drifting into a situation that we can no longer afford to lose lives. We are not going to be blackmailed. We're going to use whatever is at our disposal while operating within the confines of legitimacy, within the confines of legality. But the government has a responsibility to assert its will using the instruments at its disposal to keep the state moving, alive, happy, in prosperity. This will not be compromised.
All right, those various steps marshaled by the NSA, their relevance and practicability in the prevailing situation is our focus on the program today. Amongst many other issues of national importance and concern, how and why did Nigeria get to this dangerous crossroad? What and how can it be rescued from what some have described as a self-inflicted crisis? My guest is an activist, a well-known one for that matter, a politician, and a former senator of the Federal Republic, Comrade Shehu Sani. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
Welcome. Let's begin this way. The National Security Advisor in that address talked about a possible drift into state failure. Are we anywhere near that?
Thank you again for having me. Well, the symptoms and elements of a failing state are evident in the crisis we are facing today as a nation. A failing state or a failed state is about the inability of the government to use the levers of power and the state apparatus to maintain law and order and ensure discipline and the protection of the lives and properties of the citizenry. I think it is clear for us to see. There are instances of states that are being called failed states. We have Yemen, Libya, and Somalia, and Afghanistan. And if you look at these 4 countries, you will see how the state has lost control in terms of enforcement of law, protection of the citizen, and ensuring the unity, the solidarity, and cohesiveness of the state. So the issue raised by the National Security Advisor is a fact, but unfortunately he is not supposed to be the person to say that. He is supposed to work towards seeing that Nigeria doesn't become a failed state, because the citizenry and people who are concerned about what is happening in Nigeria today have been raising alarm in the last 10 years. And the crisis and the violence and the loss of control has become more evident and escalating as years goes by. So when you have a government unable to exercise authority, unable to exercise control, unable to use the apparatus of the state to ensure the components of that nation are well maintained within the structure and sovereignty of that country, and then that country is certainly heading towards failure. So we cannot be called a failed state now, but we are failing. And when you are failing, you are heading towards that failed state status.
When this administration came on board in 2015, there was so much hope. There was so much in terms of anticipation that whatever went wrong in the past could be corrected. But 6 years down the line, it doesn't appear as if our problems are abating at all.
When the present administration came into office, but before they assumed the throne of office, there was this posturing that the new political establishment has a buffet of solution to all the problems of Nigeria. And they come out with a package that they know the problems and they know the solutions. So as years goes by, they are faced with the reality on the ground. We shouldn't forget that some of these weaknesses and vulnerabilities of the state and the failure of the previous governments from 1999 to 2015 gave the new crop of leadership that are emerging to take over power the opportunity to use those clusters of failures and raise it as an alarm and also as an attraction for voters for them to eject or evict the government that was in power. Now, having come to the seat of power, they were faced with huge and enormous crisis and responsibility, which defied their own presumptions and demystified their own knowledge and wisdom on finding a solution to the problem of the country. So now, I believe the president, the team, and his political party are coming to terms with the reality of Nigeria, that one person does not have the wisdom and the whole hegemony of knowledge of how to solve the problem of Nigeria. So what we are seeing today is that it is either the government in power, when they were in the opposition, they underestimated the problem, or it is that they have failed to deliver on the promises and pledges which they have made to Nigerians. But in a general sense, there was a time the president made a comment, and he said he is coming to realization that the problems of Nigeria are huge and that you can only do your best, which is an admission that they don't have the solution to this problem. But now, when a country is faced with this kind of danger and crisis of violence that is seriously threatening its foundation, its existence, its future, it is incumbent on those in the position of authority to open their arms and embrace all ideas, all political persuasions. Let there be a national solidarity beyond party lines, beyond ethnic lines, beyond religious lines, so that we can collectively confront this common danger. But what we see on the ground is that it is as if the ruling party and the political establishment are the ones responsible to address the problem while the whole country becomes spectators. So this is what we are seeing. And we cannot solve the problem of this country as long as we view it from a religious prism, from the lenses of ethnicity or sectionalism, or from the partisanship position, which is very clear that this is one of the problems that has imperiled having solution to this problem.
Is there a possibility that these politicians, this party, this administration clearly overrated itself before it came to power in 2015, and on getting to power then realized that the challenges, the problems that it thought it had answers to, it didn't have any?
Well, you see, when a politician is in the opposition, there are things he can see and there are things he cannot see. But it was expected that President Muhammad Buhari is no ordinary politician and no ordinary Nigerian, because he has seen it all. He has been through Nigeria's history. He was in the battle lines during the Civil War. He was a Minister of Petroleum Resources. He was a governor. He was a commander. He was a head of state. And so he is a veteran in Nigeria's history and Nigeria's journey. So the expectations from Nigerians is that he has the solution to the problem. And now it gave him a messianic posture of someone who has the magical wand to address the problem. But like I've said, when they were in the opposition, or we are all in the opposition, they thought this is the problem and now we have the solution. But as they found themselves in the position of power, so it can be analyzed as two. It is either they were ignorant that the depth of the problem is deeper than the way they thought about it, or their competency and their capacity and capability cannot be able to address the problem. So it is either their weakness or their myopia that led us to where we are today.
Now, let's come to what many consider to be the biggest menace of the moment. In 2014 was when we had the Chibok girls mass kidnap in Chibok. But between 2018 and 2021, there have been 5 other such mass abductions by either bandits or insurgents. And many are wondering, what is the attraction? Why do these insurgents or bandits seem to find so much pleasure in abducting school children and taking them into wherever they take them to?
You see, in human history, every government is faced with its own peculiar challenges. There are challenges that are historical, where every government has to inherit it, and there are also one that is peculiar. The Umar Musa and Jonathan's administration were faced with Boko Haram crisis and also herdsmen issues. The Obasanjo administration faced the rise of ethnic militia and the militancy in Niger Delta. Like you have the Bakassi boys at that time, the OPC crisis, the militants in Niger Delta sprung up, and the cults and other things you have. And then the MASOP. Now, the subsequent governments now are faced, which is that of Muhammadu Buhari. He is faced with those things he has inherited, and then he has his own additionally. So now, thank God, the Umar Musa Adua has been able to address the militancy in Niger Delta, and that kept the oil flowing. But now he also faced a Boko Haram crisis, and then it spilled over to Jonathan. Now, in the terms of Muhammadu Buhari, he thought that by stopping and making sure that the insurgents don't attack Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, Lagos, so they have achieved, and they have been able to push them to the edges of the northeast. But now he has his own peculiar challenge, which is the rise of banditry and the escalation of herdsmen killing in North Central, banditry in the Northwest, from the states of Katsina, Niger, Kaduna, Sokoto, Zamfara. Virtually the rural locations in those places are under the siege of these bandits. So now, why has schools and soft targets become so attractive to bandits? The bandits in the northwestern part of Nigeria are not driven by any religious ideology like you have the Boko Haram and the ISWAP. They are criminal gangs, they are also terrorists, but they are being motivated by money. If they kidnap a victim, if you can pay them, they can release that victim. But if the Boko Haram kidnap a victim, you are not sure whether payment of ransom can deliver your victim out of their captivity. So, banditry in the northwest and herdsmen killings in the north central and southern part of Nigeria was allowed to fester and linger and escalate to where it is today because the government has refused to take action from the beginning. From 2015 to 2019, several times, someone like me and a few others have risen up on the floor of the National Assembly to bring the attention of the president and the country to the rise of banditry in Kaduna, in parts of Zamfara, and in Katsina State. Unfortunately, we were not listened to. What the apologists of the government and the so-called loyalists of the president portrayed to him was that the points we were raising were either outright lies or exaggeration or an attempt to tarnish the image of his government. So they gave him a situation report that almost everything was going fine, and that it is only the likes of Shehu, Sani, Dino, Bembruce, and Saraki and others were the ones who are raising issues to destroy the image of his government. So many times we have been called names, we have been vilified, we have been penalized, we have been persecuted for bringing the attention of the president when this violence, when this banditry could have been nipped in the bud. So we have found ourselves where we are today. 3 local governments in Niger State, Munya, Shiroro, and Rafi local governments are virtually under the control of bandits in Nigeria. In Kaduna, the southern part of Kaduna is unsafe, and in central Kaduna, from Igabi to Chikun local government, to Kajuru local government, to parts of other local governments close to Zaria, are now in the hands of bandits. Half of Zamfara State and a chunk of Katsina State are all controlled by these bandits. And they also part of Sokoto State, Sokoto East. So the president has hesitated. His government has been misinformed by its friends. And the nation is today paying the price of not being able to rise up to realities. Today, herdsmen and bandits and terrorists are not only killing, kidnapping, and destroying our country, but they are also sowing the seed of ethnic, religious, and sectional discord between the people of northern Nigeria and that of southern Nigeria. And we have to be very careful, because if we don't nip in the bud and extinguish the raging flame of these killings and kidnappings, there will be no Nigeria as years go by.
Well, where is the place of intelligence, the intelligence community, while all of this was happening?
Well, for all I know, our intelligence system has failed. It is elitist, it is not focused on where it's supposed to be. From what we know in history, and from what we know that happened in the past, in those days, you'll find out that every village has a police informer and an intelligence agent that will report to a certain central body where informations are analyzed and actions have been taken. Traditional rulers, chiefs from the local level, all of them play a role within the security architecture of the state. But what do we have now? With all the number of people that are employed in our security agencies, you find out the bandits, the headsmen, operate with impunity. They have grown and become so audacious. They can call with the same SIM card 10, 20, 30 times and extort ransom, and nothing happens to them. They move into the city, buy food and water, and take it into the bush. They mix with communities and people know who they are, but you are afraid of reporting them. And there is also speculation and conjecture of collaboration between these criminals and people within the state apparatus. So as far as I'm concerned, Nigeria needs to use the 21st century technology to address its 21st century crisis. In 1960, Nigeria's population was 45 million, with a landmass that is about 900 and something thousand. And in 2020, Nigeria's population is 206 million within the same space. So the population is increasing and the space is not. So we need to be innovative, and we need to be proactive in terms of protecting our borders and also changing on the ways we do in the past. It is easier in 1960, 70, 80 for a cattle rearer to move from Sokoto to Bayelsa State because there is enough space and there are lesser people. But it cannot be the same case now. So what have we done in the last 5, 10, 20 years to address the problem? So we are virtually living the reality of our failure, of our failings, of our refusal to do what is right at the right time.
So in other words, you do agree when some people suggest that we seem to be a nation stuck in the past?
Well, we have been stuck in the past in a lot of respect, in the sense that national development plan ought to be a roadmap to the future, one that will forecast what is going to happen in the future and make infrastructural recommendations of what needs to be done before that future comes in, which we have not. We consistently refuse to restructure this country. We believe there's a problem that cannot be solved by change of government. We believe there's a problem that cannot be changed by or reformed by our constitution. We need a drastic revolutionary change that will ensure that the fault lines of the Nigerian state are reset, reconfigured for this nation to move to its own future. Where are we today? This is a country that has played a leading role in restoring peace and order in other countries, from Liberia to Sierra Leone to Congo and around the world. Today we are faced with our own crisis, and we have found it impossible or challenging to be able to address. I can understand that many countries in the world are facing their own headache and hackages as far as security challenges are concerned. But I do not believe that the bandits are sophisticated enough to have overcome us until you see what is on the ground today. So it is not about the number of people you recruit in the army or the police, but how relevant they are. If you move from Kaduna to Kano, you ask yourself, where is any drone station? There's none. Our security system is still archaic, it's still antediluvian, it's still Neanderthal, where you have checkpoints and they stop you to open boots and they flash, tell you to on your inner lights, and then they check and then tell you to go. You can't fight terrorism. You can't fight banditry with that kind of thing. As far as the Northwest is concerned, banditry has become a huge business, a lucrative business, a multi-billion-dollar industry. The Fulani herdsmen and cattle rearers you used to know are no more interested in rearing cattle and selling a cow for 150,000 naira. Many of them now have resolved to getting huge sum of money through ransom. And the one that provides them the most amount of money is when they raid school and kidnap students. They know that if they raid a radio station or television station like this and pick staffs, it is the chairman of the company that's going to pay, and he may not have the kind of money they want. But they know very well that if they pick on students, especially female students, the government will be under pressure, and that was why it happened in Chibok, it happens in Dapchi, Kankara, and now Kagarama, Alma Mater, and then Jangibi. I don't think this is going to come to an end very soon until we have a security system that works with a 21st century intelligence network that will provide information as at when do an action has been taken. How can a country like Algeria, that is 1.5 size of Nigeria, being able to protect its own borders? How can a country like Sudan, how can a country like Chad, that in landmass are all bigger than Nigeria, being able to protect their own country? And we cannot. You can also tell me that our own armed forces are not motivated. What an average soldier in Nigeria is paid, or a policeman is paid to protect this country, is, I can say, 3 times what is being paid to his own colleague in Niger and Benin Republic. So where have we gotten this wrong? The sum of it is that the government is failing in its responsibility to protect the people, to protect the country, to deliver on the promise it made that legitimized and empowers the people to vote it into power.
The president has promised that the Jangebe abduction will be the last. Is that feasible?
Well, I think you can recall this interview anytime in the future that it is not going to be the last, because it is just a statement that is made. What has been on the ground is not there. The schools in the north, many of them, and in the whole of the country, many of them don't have perimeter fence. Even University of Maiduguri is just some few years ago, some 2 years, they've started fencing the school, so the institution. So you ask yourself, are we actually serious about security in this country? Are we actually serious about making sure this country doesn't collapse under the weight of security challenges? Are we actually serious about protecting our people, our country, and making sure that we are as safe as we desire to be? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves.
There are insinuations and speculations in certain quarters that most of the people who make up or who carry out this banditry, and even the herdsmen who are engaged in clashes with farmers in different parts of the country, may not actually be Nigerians, but from elsewhere outside the country.
Well, there are times you need to look inwards to have solutions to your problem, and there are times you need to look beyond your own borders to understand your problem. Now, if you are a keen observer and watcher of events in the West African sub-region, you will see that herdsmen, violence, and banditry is not just a Nigerian affair. It is the cancer that is being faced with people of Senegal, Mali, Mauritania, Burkina Faso, Niger, and also Chad. So as far as I'm concerned, I believe that the problem is sub-regional. And these bandits are criminals without borders. They move from country to country, and it's difficult for us to have denied them because they are not indigenous people of Kenya, Maasai. They are Fulanis from the other parts of West African country, and like us here, who are also Fulanis. So you can't know which one is a Nigerian, which is not a Nigerian. So banditry and herdsmen violence has become a transnational criminality, which of course we need the help of our ECOWAS brothers to be able to address that aspect of it. But most importantly, we also need to address the ones that is within our country.
All right, let's take a short break. When we return, we'll be looking at specific situation in Zamfara State, where, of course, the Nigerian government, the federal government, has imposed a no-fly zone. We'll be examining that and see whether or not it is going to be one of the solutions to this menace. Stay with us. With us. Distinguished Senator, let me take you to Borno State, where just a day or two ago, the governor talked about, that's Governor Zulum, talked about de-radicalized Boko Haram operatives and fighters now posing another threat. According to him, they have rejoined the Boko Haram group after being de-radicalized, and they are being used as spies in the various communities. Now, the intention of the de-radicalization process was to get some of these people out of the mentality that had been set for them by the Boko Haram. The same process that the Zamfara State government seemed to be following in trying to win over some of these bandits, and according to them were repentant bandits who are now, according to the governor, is helping or are helping to negotiate with those who abduct and getting some of these people out of it. It doesn't appear as if the de-radicalization initiative has worked, at least not with the Boko Haram, from what the governor has said. So where does the justification for the Zamfara process now lie?
Well, when the idea of de-radicalizing insurgents, first and later bandits, came, there were people who raised objections to the fact that the process is not going to deliver any meaningful result. It's difficult to believe that terrorists that have been indoctrinated to challenge an order to kill, to maim, and to burn for their own religious mental thinking can be de-radicalized to live in a normal society. Those who raised that objections were shouted down, and comparative analysis was even made with what happened in Niger Delta, that if you can have repentant militants, why don't you have repentant Boko Haram or repentant bandits? But as time goes by, with the statement made by Governor Zulum, it's clear that people who raise doubts that you can reform or de-radicalize an ISWAP agent or a Boko Haram agent is simply an illusion. And in the Northwest too, bandits that have been said to be de-radicalized still also maintain contacts with their, in quote, radicalized ones. So as far as the points raised by Governor Zulum is concerned, it defeats the program that is simply putting the lives of other people in danger by bringing in terrorists in the thought that you can radicalize them. But I think we should also commend the governor of Zamfara State and that of Borno State for their effort. These two states have been one of the most violent states in Nigeria today that have been facing this crisis, and the governors have been all up and working day and night. We have seen how passionately the governor of Zamfara and that of Borno have taken this battle. And I believe if other governors too can emulate the way these governors passionately take the issue of security in their states very seriously, we could have a solution to this problem, or at least the problem could have been reduced by half. Most times you see governors raising issues that they don't control the police and that they are chief security officers only on paper, but that is not true. Every month, governors allocate hundreds of millions of public funds for themselves in the name of security votes. What do they use it for? You don't see new communication gadgets in the police, courtesy of governors. You don't see new vehicles with the police or the army, courtesy of governors, many of these governors. You don't see any serious impact in terms of contribution to the police. Many of these divisional police offices don't even have any serious communication equipment. So governors can only tell you that they don't control the police when it is not during elections time. During elections time of elections, they control the police, they direct the police, they misuse the police, and they abuse the police. So they have a duty as chief security officers to maintain law and order of the state. The same way they use the police during elections should be the way they're going to use it to fight this banditry. Governor of Borno State has made a valid point that many of these de-radicalized Boko Haram insurgents and ISWAP are informants. And it is time, when that is being fully proved, to discontinue the program. Any person who wants to keep down his arms and ammunition and reintegrate to the society, there should be an office you're going to be reported to, and he should be monitored. I think that is how it's supposed to be.
And Governor Zulum is also insinuating, or in fact has been very persistent in calling on the federal government to engage the services of mercenaries in prosecuting the war against insurgency.
No, I think I differ from the governor, but I understand his situation. If you are in a crisis Like I said, if you are if you are drowning in the sea, anything you can hold on to as far as that can get you out. So, he's speaking from a certain prison while I am analyzing it from prison. He lives where the fire is burning. And as far as he's concerned, whatever will bring peace and extinguish the raging storm and fire of terrorism in the state, he welcomes it. But those of us who don't live in that state, our own reasoning may be academical in the sense that I believe we have enough resources and enough manpower to tackle insurgents and also end banditry. The bandits operating in the Northwest have two things that they use as weapon. One is the AK-47, second is motorcycle. They don't have any serious communication equipment. They are not sophisticated as you can have the Taliban, and they have become a problem to the Nigerian state. So it means that our own security apparatus is failing, and we hope that the new service chiefs will be able to achieve more than the failures of the ones they have inherited. So as far as I'm concerned, I think we should give them time, the new service chiefs, to be able to perform before we think of mercenaries. But I believe that Governor Zulum want an end to the bloodshed in his country, want an end to bloodshed in his own part state, and he is reasoning from the point of someone who lives in that state. So we can't fault him, but we can say clearly that we disagree with him.
So how relevant, what is the relevance of the recently imposed no-fly zone on Zamfara, which some people are, in fact, are actually agitating now that should be extended to Borno, to Taraba, and to Benue? How relevant is this to the situation we have on our hands? Because there are also speculations about a linkage between banditry in Zamfara state and its environs and the mining enterprise in that state.
Well, in the last few years, there were speculations that bandits get their arms through businesses that is fueled by illegal gold mining, and that there are reports that arms are being dropped from the sky to the camp of these bandits that they use. So I believe that the position of the government would have been either that they have security information that the bandits are well equipped with anti-aircraft missiles, for which they can bring down even civilian aircraft, which I don't know, or else they declared the no-fly zone to make sure that they have complete control of the skies in such a way that the speculations that there are foreigners that supply arms to bandits while they benefit from the illegal mining of gold. So this has been the issue. So let us wait and see the result of it. But this is not the first time. Some 2 years ago, or 1.5 years ago, there was an order given by the government to suspend mining activities in most part of the Northwest, and also to ban the use of motorcycles in rural areas. What has become of that order? It has not achieved anything. So now we are trying that of no-fly zone and see. But one thing I know is that bandits don't use aircrafts. They use motorcycle, they move to villages, raise villages, kidnap people and extort ransom. So let us wait and see.
If you had access to Mr. President today, or to government, to the presidency today, and you were to present a blueprint as to how to resolve the major challenges facing Nigeria today, as we are well aware, there is a rise in ethnic nationalism. You have the IPOBs, the Igbos, the Arewas, and the rest of them who are beginning, and even the so-called militants in the Niger Delta who are again beginning to issue threats and all of that. If you were to present a blueprint today, what would be the major focus of that to resolving some of these major challenges?
Okay. I'm not used to giving advice, and I don't think the people in government take any advice seriously except it comes from the supporters of the president or the people who are in the sitting cabinet or people whom they like or they love. They don't take advice from people they sometimes consider as adversaries or critics, whom whatever you see will be seen to be not relevant as far as you are not with them. But I can say this for the record. If I am to present a blueprint to the president, I will give him two suggestions. One is to set up a National Unity and Reconciliation Committee made up of some few eminent non-partisan Nigerians like Chief Emeka Nyaku, Ahmed Joda, Bolaji Akinyemi, Chief Albert Hasford, Mr. Paul Onongo, and some selected Nigerians from the geopolitical zones to move around the country and listen to the cries and agitations by groups, individuals, organizations, cultural, religious, listen to their own side of the story, and now collate a solution to it, and now see how that can, within a very short time, be applied to calm down tensions. The second aspect of it, there is a need for the banditry and the insurgency going on in northern part of Nigeria. What will stop the president setting up a committee, a security committee, to be led by or inhabited or membership of this kind of committee will be with people like Colonel Lawal Jafar Isa, Nuhu Ribadu, Colonel Lengi Omar, Lawan Godebi, and some other personalities who have the knowledge, the experience, and the expertise in the past on tackling this problem. What stops the president moving across party lines, reaching out to these people for the solutions? But we have a system now where if you are not a card-carrying member of the ruling political party, whatever you see, whatever solutions you proffer, whatever advices you're going to give, it is of no relevance. And that is why national solidarity is absent here in terms of tackling the collective problems that is today threatening us as a nation.
Thank you so much, distinguished Senator Shehu Sani. He's been our guest. I'm sure that we have had, or he has left for us a lot to chew on. An activist, a politician, and, of course, former Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Shehu Sani. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's our program for today. Please join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of the program, People, Politics, and Power. I am Imoni Amarere. Bye for now.